Well, for instance, now trade volume between Nigeria and Pakistan, currently stands at about $900 million, from about 500 million last year, and we're currently in a recession. Do you see us hitting the $1 billion projected mark?
Since independence, Nigeria and Pakistan has been very closely collaborating in capacity building of Nigeria, right from the Central Bank of Nigeria to education institutions, to irrigation sector, agriculture sector. Pakistani experts right from 1950s till 1980s has been coming here, and they left a great mark. When I meet various governors and people of probably 40 years and plus, each one of them had at least one or two Pakistani teachers who came for sciences. Then when I look at the agriculture sector, irrigation sector, pharmaceutical sector, even Abuja, construction of Abuja, I see Pakistani footprint everywhere. So that is much more tangible contribution to capacity building and nation building of Nigeria, which in my terms, in my view, is a superior achievement as compared to the trade figure, which we may not be able to match with China, Turkey, India, or even Germany or some other nations which are doing in terms of trade with Nigeria.
Are you affected by the country's import restriction on certain goods? Would you like to see more Pakistani presence in terms of goods in Nigeria?
As a market, you will agree, anybody who looks at those trade restrictions or sanctions or quotas or whatever embargoes, I mean, he won't like it. But when I look at it from Nigerian perspective, I think it's in the best interest of Nigeria. So it's okay. And we have to live with it, because every country has a right to protect its people's right and protect its own industrial base. But at the same time, you would agree that Nigeria is still an import economy. It's not, hasn't been able to develop its industrial base, even small industries base, skill base, in which they can be empowered to create their own products and those facilities or amenities that people like to buy from. So they are still a kind of import economy. I think that can only happen when Nigeria does not go back to again massive industrialization, which it went through in the 80s and 90s, and most industries closed down because of power shortages or security situation. I'm sure Nigeria is not going to repeat that experience. But whether it's this embargo is on rice, I say embargo on other household items, I think eventually the Nigeria will benefit from this, and this might allow some countries to be able to benefit from Nigerian market. Some other countries will not be able to benefit from this. So that's a trade in and trade off that happens. Is a reality of life.
What is Pakistan's position to the immigration ban in the US?
Let me take you to history, because you asked a very interesting question. People say the US is the biggest melting pot. I can tell you Pakistan is an equally bigger melting pot. If I tell you the amount of people living in Pakistan, those who were not from that land, you'll be amazed. I think the largest immigration or migration in the history, including the number of bloodshed happened, was in Pakistan. Because people migrated from all over the world, and we have been open. There are over 7,000 Nigerians living in Pakistan. Most of them are illegal.
So you still describe it as melting pot, even in spite of terrorism going on in Pakistan?
I very honestly believe we have to be realistic in this. I mean, it's good to be idealistic, that you want to preserve yourself, preserve your race, preserve your culture, preserve your ideologies. Fine, go ahead, do it. But then there's a realism too. Realism has a part. This world is opening. You cannot build walls and boundaries. You cannot restrict people. So I'm not asking to open frontiers, open border concept. What I'm saying is, Europe was made by those people who moved in, whether they brought in intellect or they brought in money or they brought ideas. Europe benefited. US was not only made by colonial powers, they were made by slave power which came from West Africa. So having benefited from that benefit and human potential, well, those countries have a right today to look forward to filtering, probably look forward to some controlled migrations with a view to be able to maintain the culture and their standards. But that does not mean that we outrightly think that this is a bad idea, so we start immigrations. So Pakistan does not probably would like to support the idea of banning the migrants and immigration. And allow me to highlight one dimension. When we create conflicts, there will be consequences. So those who handle conflict have a responsibility to handle consequence. maybe those who are participating in conflict, whether in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, or elsewhere, are doing in good faith. Maybe they want to keep world order in place. They want to keep rationality in place. They want to beat radical ideologies. They want to beat off the extreme behaviors. That's fine. But then you cannot, you just cannot ignore the consequence of such applications.
Like what?
First consequence is the migrations. There are people involved. People are target of ISS. People are target of bombing. People are target of US. People are target of by Russia. So people are the sufferer. The people, when they suffer, they will filter out. When they filter out, then you cannot start crying, making hue and cry around, saying that we don't want migrations. You don't want migration, don't intrude lands. So this is our policy.
What should they have done better, in terms of this? Because we understand they're equally trying to protect their territory.
That's right. So there are two ways now. Well, one is that you want to promote the international order and international interest, which is based on peace, harmony, and coexistence, and you do not want the extreme ideologies to create chaos. So this is one approach, for which probably sometime the force application is done, whether it's done by US or French or British or anybody else. I mean, in African context, some African nations also participated in some conflicts with a view to prevent, whether it's ethnic exploitation or it's a racial conflict or it's ideological. So, but then there's a spin-off here. The spin-off is when we are going for a good purpose, then we can't go unprepared. Strike hard, make a dent, or carry out surgery and leave the wound open.
When we return after the break, congratulations are in order as the European Union turns 60 this year. Do stay with us.